This is where we share and explore how to design a thriving business and lifestyle so that we can live the lives we've always wanted right now.
It's where strategy meets energy work. It's where we'll unpack how to build a business that works for you and we'll make it tangible and actionable. I'm Jodi an online business coach, and my mission is to help you grow and scale your online business to create time freedom so that you can spend more time doing the things you love with the people you love.
And I'm Brian DeCastro. As a holistic health practitioner and Reiki master, my part in this mission is to provide self-care support and spiritual guidance to business owners who are shifting to align with their next level way of being.
So come and join us here where every day feels like Friday and the vibe is fun, inspiring, and real.
Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. This moment is yours and you've earned it.
This is the Friday Everyday Podcast. Welcome, you guys, to the Friday Everyday Podcast. Today it is episode 6, and we are talking about the 4 things that can support productivity and profit. So this one is, they're all exciting, but I'm really excited to dive into this one. We had some things happen in our Becoming the CEO program today that just really got us thinking, got some ideas flowing and stuff like that. And Brian always says this, what do you say, Brian? Our life is the content.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's happening again. Our life is the content, and we're really excited to bring you guys this episode today. So Brian, why don't you start us off? Tell us about the 4 things and let's roll.
Yeah. We came before, but I think there's a lot of other things, but for sake of, the space and time we have and just kind of like expanding on a few of our thoughts, we came with these main 4 just on the spot right now, which probably maybe the reason why they're coming up is they make sense for us in this moment, right? So the first one of the 4 is community, right? You might have a solo business, but at some level, you're not going to be doing it alone if you're gonna succeed, right? So we'll get more into that along the way, but the first one is community. We'll expand more on that. The second one is accountability. So and again, I think it's not the accountability that we think. There's more to it I want to elaborate on and that we can chat about. The third one is sounding. So like some sort of sounding board, some sort of place to vocalize the problem that you're solving until you solve it, right? And there's just probably more to that, and structure. So, and the way I describe structure is not a trap or a space that you're fixed into, but a container of which you can create within or create within. So there's a masculine and feminine side of that. So yeah, so I guess starting with community, like what comes up for you when I say community out of these 4 things?
Yeah, what comes up for me right away is the things that I actually don't want and the things that we've done or that we've been through or that we've gone to that we don't want, which leads to what we do want. And so I think over the years, I and you too, we've attended so many different types of events, networking, masterminding, whatever you want to call these events. And we've been to lots that were done very, let's rephrase. There were lots that weren't a fit for us or for me. Yeah. And now one of our biggest goals is to really create a place where everyone can come together. They can come as they are. They can speak freely. They know they'll be supported. Everyone's coming with their heart first, and just like bringing people together in a way that allows you to really flourish and to really maximize what's going on in the room. There's this saying that people say, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? And so when I think about community and what each of us want, it's like we want to be in a room where we can be elevated, where we can meet new people, where we can get new ideas, where we can share our expertise as well, where we can speak freely, where we feel comfortable. There's so many pieces to building a really great community, but those are some of the ideas that come up for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think of the right fit of people, and depending on who you are, you might thrive in different environments, right? And I tend to thrive really well in an environment where I can be as close to me as possible and not feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing or I'm not going to come out as professional or whatever. I like being around humor. Like I don't think I'm some sort of comedian or anything, but if you can crack a joke and people get it, or
Yeah.
if they have a funny sort of sense of humor, something that makes you feel like we say like an actual person.
Yeah.
Because there are groups and there are spaces where it's very formalized. It's very, and maybe it's intentional. They intentionally want
Yeah.
people to show up a certain way, which is totally fine. What we're really saying is, what is a fit for you? And is there a benefit for you to be constantly in that kind of space, that comfortable space, or occasionally go into a space that kind of makes you uncomfortable? Sometimes I cover for my friends BNI just to make myself uncomfortable because it's an environment that's a bit more formal for me,
Yeah.
right? I'm not with these people all the time, but it's a
Right.
nice little test to see when I do share what I do, am I still making sense, right?
Yeah.
But community is a huge part, and I think how I know when I'm in the right fit of people or in the right tribe of people is I have FOMO if I book a meeting over the event they're hosting, right? If I feel like I want to go or I don't even want to go. I'm too tired or whatever. I'm busy with other things, but I feel bad canceling. I feel bad not going,
Yeah.
or I feel like I'm missing out when I'm not going. That means I'm getting something from it. That means I'm getting some value from it. So that's how I relate to, I guess, community and the right fit of people around you to help nurture what's inside of you.
Yeah, I love all of that. I think sometimes it can be tricky to find this kind of community. And, one of the things we've been talking about with our clients a lot and that we're doing ourselves is really getting out in person and that like feeling of finding the right group that you want to be around. And sometimes it takes time. And sometimes it takes going to a lot of different events or groups to find one that really fits for you. For example, like this year, even though we have our community, I also want to be a part of someone else's so that I can experience all of that stuff as well, right? So I'm in a new community, a female only, female entrepreneur community, and it's amazing. And typically, I'm not somebody who joins an all female group. I'm typically somebody who's in a co ed situation. But there was something about definitely the woman who runs this group. She's absolutely amazing. Her name is Leslie. Her business is Airapreneur, and it's here in Toronto, and it's so great. And
Hmm.
there's her, but there's also all of these people who are all of the things that I want to be surrounded by, right? People who are driven, people who are successful, people who are, excited about their next steps, who are making big moves, who are not playing small, who are supportive, who want to be around each other. And it was just so nice to finally find a group of people who are doing what I want and what I hope we are doing in our community as well.
Yeah, you raised actually a really good point because I was thinking, I wrote down here, it's like, what happens when you are no longer around like the right people anymore? So, for example, when I was personal training, I was working at a bunch of different gyms throughout my entire
Yeah,
span of that time. And when you first step into the gym, there's lots to learn. There's a lot of people to meet, and there's a lot of growing. A lot of growth can happen
for
with
sure.
first even couple of years, right? So, but I found every time I moved on, and also prior to my fitness career, even just in my jobs, like the jobs I had, the part-time jobs I had, when I found that my environment was no longer causing me to grow,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be there anymore,
Yeah,
right? And I find that some spaces that you're at might serve what you need for a certain amount of time until maybe you get an opportunity to be in a leadership role in that space.
yeah,
sit on the board. I've sat on boards in networking groups before. So more responsibility, more influence, more things to be involved in will also help
Yeah.
too. But then just sometimes it's time to just move on, and that's totally fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with some of these people. You know, there's people that I've met in my very first networking group that I can still probably get in a conversation with right now or have a
Yeah.
coffee
That's
chat,
awesome.
right? So it's important to know when it is time to change something or move onward to something.
Yeah.
And
Big one.
the other point I can share too is sometimes you just might have to create your own group.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly how Lisa and I felt. I think I mentioned her back in episode 2. Um, that's how we felt back in the day. Well, it's already back in the day now. It's 2018. Yeah, so almost like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever that math is, we decided to start our own group, and we were hosting those curated dinner parties, and it was all because all the events that we were going to, we weren't finding the right people. It wasn't the right vibe. It wasn't the right people. It wasn't who we wanted to connect with. It just was very, business card exchange and then call you 18 times for the next week, like all that stuff. And so we decided to start our own.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what you need to do.
Yeah, it helps you sort of again flex your comfort zone and really put you into a more of a problem solving and learning atmosphere again, which is really great for your energy and really great for your business, right? So
Yeah.
with what's interesting about what we're talking about too is this aspect of community also it nicely brings us into the next one, which is the accountability piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say it's not necessarily what you think. The first almost trigger I get when I hear the word accountability is sort of like a military based sort of someone breathing down your neck type of,
Yeah.
get it done or else somebody's going to know that you suck or that you're being lazy or whatever. That is
Yeah.
not the kind of accountability that I'm talking about. The accountability I think of, at another sort of level or viewpoint is just the person that's in your corner gunning for you. And like, for example, one of the terms I use is self-care support buddy, which is a form
Mm-hmm.
of accountability. So you don't
Love
need someone
that.
breathing down your neck, harping on you about not drinking your water, on you about not eating right and moving, exercising. You want
Yeah.
someone checking in on you going, hey man, are you moving still? Are you hydrating well? Like how's it going? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? It's a different context, it's a different tone around it, which is a lot more, can be nurturing, but it could be very supportive and more of a team effort too.
Yeah, I think there's like that's a really great way to go about it. And I also think there is sort of a secret way that it happens or more of a natural way that it happens. And we talked about this just the two of us earlier today where when you get into a group and you guys are sharing, like inside our Becoming the CEO program, which we're going to talk a little bit about at the end of today.
Yeah.
Inside that program, we have a weekly check-in call where everyone gets to show up and share what they're working on, and we help kind of prioritize and we help them figure out, what do you really need to be doing, and is there anything else that we can take off your plate and all that kind of stuff. And they get to share their wins and they get to celebrate and all of that. And so there is this part about the accountability where it's not the, hey, did you do this thing? But it's more that it comes directly from you because you want to share that you did something. You want to share that you finished the thing you said you were going to work on last week. You want to share that you got the new client. You want to share that you got your post out every single day on social media last week, right? So there's this sort of natural accountability that happens, and it's almost from within, right? It starts from there. And yes, you're sharing outwardly and you're sharing with the community, which brings it back to that. But it's just naturally happening. It's not that the rest of the people on the call are saying, hey, you better do that. It's just you knowing, like, I want to come to the call next week and I want to celebrate what I did. I want to be excited. I want to share. I want to talk about how it went, like whatever it is. And so there is this natural accountability that happens when you're in community as well, where you get to share the wins, the challenges, and what's going on. So I actually love that piece because when you're in community and you're doing accountability type of connection, people really get to know each other. People get more invested in each other. People get excited for each other, right? And what's better than getting on a call and being able to share and having 5 or 10 or 15 of your now friends saying, way to go, right? Great job. Keep going. What's next?
Yeah, it's like it comes from a place of compassion, right? Like, it's it's one thing I learned when I was on a men's team before is we have an agreement on how we are to communicate in meetings and
Mm.
stuff. And you have to be prepared to be in somewhat of a confrontational situation, but under the context of all of your men are fighting for you.
Yeah.
You're bullshitting yourself. They can call you out to bring you back, right? So,
Yeah.
even though I said there's these it's kind of nurturing and it's kind of like, softer, there's also, even in a very masculine sort of like competitive environment, it can still be, with the right context, very healthy and
Yeah.
not like a toxic environment where you're like, now you're resenting going to meetings.
Right.
Now you're feeling like you're competing against each other. You're pissed off that your friend sold another 5 clients and you're pissed off at them now. Instead of using them as a resource and learning from each other, it becomes this other thing where there's more drama going on, right? So there's, having some ways of knowing how you, like when we bring people into our space, we try to slowly sort of introduce, where we're coming from and how we want to share and communicate and
Yeah.
work together. There's times, environments too, where I've been in groups where we actually say, this is not a space to be coaching each other
Right.
because we don't want to be coaching in a check-in when no one's
Right.
asking for your coaching, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, it's just a play. Actually, just goes nicely into the third one. It's just a place for, to express, get some sounding, get grounded, and then get into the work, right? So, um, yeah, I definitely find there is forms of accountability that you can find through an app on your phone or whatever, but
Yeah.
when you're working with actual people in your tribe, in your group, it can be so much more powerful. And I, for one, have had evidence in the past, but I've produced way more being accountable to people that I trust and love working with than on my own. 100%.
Absolutely. Like I remember when I was a personal training regional manager, I worked for one of the biggest fitness companies in Canada, as you guys probably know. And I had a team of 13 locations and 13 managers. And every day of the week, Monday to Friday, we got on a call at whatever it was, 9 o'clock or 9:30 in the morning, and everyone had to come in and report on how they were doing. Right. So there was that like sort of more military style accountability happening. But what also happened was these guys became friends. Right. And so not only were they reporting to the boss and having to tell me what their numbers were and all that stuff, but the rest of them were there to cheer each other on. The rest of them were there to share what they were doing that was working or not working. Right. They were really supporting each other and helping each other figure it out. And one day it was one person, one day it was another,
Yeah.
and so there ended up being this really amazing back and forth. And this is another conversation, but I'll just say this, like as the leader, I actually tried to not be the one answering all of their questions or, telling them what to do and all that stuff. I actually pushed it over to them. I'd be like, so and so is really great at that thing. Why don't you ask them? So that's something else that can happen in the community space, in the accountability space. And then the next part, which we're going to get into in a second, which is the sounding. So it's like creating this community where you actually recognize everybody's strengths and you start to know where to send people to because it's not always you.
Yeah, what I love about it is, tribe accountability and into sounding is also, if somebody's in the group, whether it be meeting, tribe, community, whatever, if somebody's really struggling too, and they feel safe to share that they're dealing
Mhm.
with something,
Yeah.
not only is there resources there to gain help from,
Yeah.
to help them get back on their feet, but it's also like it, it's also a place that you can actually ask for help, right? And
Yeah.
feel like you're less than or whatever. And it's like, hey, Mike's having a hard couple months. Like, how can we help him? Right.
Yeah,
So moving into sounding's a great place for you to be able to voice what's inside you. And what we try to do in depending on the meetings that we're hosting or whatever, there's there's opportunities to check in or just share. Like when we do our co-working calls online as well, one of the things
yeah,
we will share is one personal item. Like today we had a call and it was Monday, so it's okay, the weekend just happened. Share something
right.
that happened on the weekend, which I would
Yeah,
assume is a personal thing, right? So just we care about each other. There's some humanity involved there. There's some,
yeah.
connection through just person to person. So um there's a lot more to just the sounding that just allows some nuanced things to come to the surface, right?
Yeah, and this actually carried over because we ended up having two different calls inside becoming the CEO today. We had the virtual studio co-working call, and then we also had the check-in call, which typically the check-in call is more of the what are you working on, what's the priority, that kind of stuff. But today we ended up having one of our members who was sharing a little bit about what's going on personally and conversations that are happening in the home and stuff like that. And what was so amazing was that the other people on the call gave really great advice,
Yeah.
and everyone's coming with really amazing experience and expertise. And we weren't actually talking about work. We were talking about family and relationships and setting boundaries and setting expectations and stuff like that, and how to have these conversations and some different tips on how to get your work done when you're at home with everyone and stuff like that. And it was just such a great conversation. And it really allowed people to be that sounding board for everybody else and to share what has worked for them and what hasn't. And and it was just such a great experience, honestly, to be in that room. And the call ended up being a little bit longer than we had planned, but we had a little bit of time today, and so that's what we did. But I think this is also something else that comes up for us so much, is that our personal and our business aren't separate. And this is essentially why we have becoming the CEO, because it incorporates everything about family and relationships and life into what's going on in the business. So this was just such a great call today, and great experience, I think, for even for me and for the group as well. So I really look forward to that Monday call and hearing the check-ins and hearing people sharing their questions and where they're struggling, and seeing everybody just jump in to support.
Yeah, like those calls they're unscripted too. Like we come in
100%.
station or the platform is already there. This is how this call works, but everyone just brings their own stuff to it, right? Just like when we have the clearing call, I prepare prior to the clearing call,
Yeah.
but I'm going into it just as curious as everybody else is, right? Because I don't plan to just do a big coaching session in the clearing
Yeah.
call. The people aren't logging. I believe that people aren't logging on to be told by me what to do or what I think is going on in the world. It's more so
Yeah.
picking this up. I'm going to put this into the space and let's see what comes to the surface. And then people
Yeah.
can share that way. So we get to know each other at a much or deeper level. And we've talked about this before in the past is you're more likely to work with, collaborate, create with, do
Yeah.
business with, or exchange with someone that you trust. And usually what creates that
Absolutely.
trust is that I can see you at a level that's beyond you as an accountant or a graphic designer,
Yeah.
coach of some kind or whatever. I see you beyond the title of the brand, and I know you as
Yes.
a person, right? So the sounding piece allows us to open things up a little bit more and unpack things more, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love this part. And it's just so nice to see people peel those layers back and go deeper and allow themselves to be vulnerable and to, share what's really going on. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe people feel differently, but sometimes it can be easier to talk about business and the struggles, right? Because everyone resonates with that on some level. But on the personal side, not everybody is prepared to share that stuff or share what's going on kind of behind the scenes. And so I just really appreciate that everybody was able to come to the table and make it safe for everyone else and just have a really amazing, helpful conversation. And then I guess the next, sorry.
Actually, just what you just said
Okay, go.
it goes nicely into the next one.
Okay. Take it
Um,
away.
having this ability to share and feel free to be who be you as a person, right? As a
Yeah.
soul, as a human, right? Having the structure and how I describe the structure or the container of which to be able to freely create within. Um, some form of structure too that doesn't allow just on the same wavelength of the sounding and going through things, a
Yeah.
structure that also doesn't allow necessarily for us to completely ruminate and spiral out of control, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to
Yeah.
be a structure as far as like meeting times and all of those things, and like both in our individual work, like time blocking or zoning things out that you're working on a specific activity, but also in the groups, whether it be networking, whether it be co-working or any other things that you're interacting with other people, having a structure that people can freely create within, but also setting it up so it's productive, right? I
Yeah.
found that when we were doing our Guys, Beers, and Business networking group that lasted over 5 years, both in person and online.
Yeah.
I think there was something the men were getting by having to be able to just mask down and be real men in being themselves in a
Yeah.
safe place. But we created a very tight structure that allowed us to get through 16 men in a 1 hour call
Yeah.
and still mastermind
Yeah.
within that space and come out with the man to man sort of brotherhood type of
Yeah.
feel, but also some productive masterminds, some productive goals were met or were set, and action steps were shared, and we were
Yeah.
very very adamant that they came away with something, a plan or something to do next, and then just people to contact after, right? So
Yeah.
um, this having this kind of a structure is critical to also being able to measure the work that we're getting done and
Yeah.
measure the value of what we're up to, um, and also preventing us from spiraling.
Yeah. So two things that are coming up for me as you're talking about that. And one is I feel like I'm going to forget the other. One is solutions focused coaching. I'm going to come back to it. And the other is I knew I was going to lose my train of thought. There were two solutions focused coaching and oh man. Okay, let's talk about solutions focused coaching first, and then it'll come back to me. So what I was just going to say is like when you are in these kinds of scenarios, it's like you want to train everyone to come with solutions, right? They're not coming to complain and ruminate and all that stuff. They are coming with solutions, and so it may not be that they have those solutions at their fingertips. However, you can start to kind of almost train people when you're coming into an event where you repeatedly have the same group, right? If you're creating a networking community and you have people coming back and all that stuff, you can almost sort of train them to know when you come with a challenge, you also have to come with a solution or two that you've thought of,
Yeah.
right? And this was such a great lesson that one of my early mentors taught me. And I remember I was working at a fitness club. I was the service manager, so I was in charge of all the different programs, everything other than personal training at the time. And huge facility, tons of money, like all the things. And I would go into his office and I was like 24 at the time. It was my first real job. And I'd go into his office and I'd ask him what to do. And my boss would literally look at me and go, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
And I was so frustrated at the time, being like, what do you mean? Like, you're the boss. You're supposed to tell me what I'm supposed to do. And that was just the wrong thinking, right? Because what actually he needed to do was develop me. And that's what he was doing. So he would say to me, Jodi, when you come with a problem, you come to with two solutions. And so I started to do that and I started to learn. I'd go into his office, and you've heard this story before, but I'll share it for everybody else. And I'd go in and I'd go with the problem and I'd say, okay, this is what I think we could do, this or this. And I'd be like, so which one? And then again, he'd be like, I don't know, which one? And again, I'm frustrated because I'm like, I did what you told me and I came with my two things and you're still not telling me which one to pick.
Yeah.
And he just said, Jodi, like, as long as the building isn't burning down, it's not going to cost me $1 million. I don't care. Pick one and do it. So, he really trained me to think in that way. And I think that is a great opportunity when you are leading a group to also teach people to do that, right?
Yeah.
Teach people to come in, and it's not about the challenge. It's like, here's what's happening. Here's what I think I can do about it. Maybe getting some feedback. Maybe there's some other ideas, but teaching your people to come with those solutions. And this can work in a networking event. This can work in your coaching as well, right? Is just teaching people to come with those solutions ready to go and then discuss rather than coming in being like, I completely have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I found learning about like the conversation around structure too, just with my son's hockey team. When they're
Mhm.
younger, like under 14, under 13, they're actually quite quick to take instruction and guidance and direction right away.
Yeah.
They're actually, I found now they seem a lot easier to manage than the way they are now. And I told the boys the other day in a warm up, I go, look, the warm up is not about me controlling you guys and getting you to settle down and whatever. Like ultimately, we want you guys to get focused, but it's not about me controlling you guys. It's about you guys learning how to control yourselves, learning how
Yeah.
to turn this thing off that's not going to serve you playing at the game and turn this other thing on,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
That's what this warm up is. 2 hours ago, you guys were probably gaming or scrolling on the couch, and we get from there to puck drop.
Yeah.
So the process, and
Yeah.
I've been teaching some of it to you, but you guys are old enough now to learn how to
Yeah.
self-control and decide what is
Yeah.
appropriate right now in this moment in time to be successful now as a team and a
Absolutely.
contributor to that team. So um, some sort of structure that allows this kind of flexibility, freedom to grow, I think is really great. And I feel that it doesn't hurt every so often, even if you're solo, to put yourself into a structure. That's where I like him with the 10-day rebuild is the early initiation phase of building a
Yeah.
structure. I
Yeah.
call it even first 2 or 3 weeks of a workout program. I call the exploratory phase. And the only structure in the exploratory phase is regardless of how I feel, I'm going to show up for myself at this time, these days of the week, and there'll be a number of different things that might happen at that time.
Hmm.
All I know is as a structure, I'm showing up these times, and it's going to build, the patterns are going to build over 2 or 3 weeks. That's actually going to create a program that becomes maybe a little tighter structure that's actually directing itself
Yeah.
or you're self-directing into a result, which is just like in your business. As an exploratory phase, I'm just going to reach out to people and have conversations. But
Yeah.
eventually, as that list builds up, you start to build it into a systematic tracking system to
Yeah.
actually find the opportunities and find the relationships you need to make and connect with to move to the next phase of the mission, right? So, um, this is great stuff, and I think there's a lot more we can get into here. But as you said in the beginning, like a lot of this is kind of what's inspired our initial version one of becoming the CEO, co-working and programming. But now we're also at a point now we've had some experience with it and some wins with it that we're looking to evolve it into the next level. So what does that sound like? What does that look like?
Mm. Sorry. Well, let's go back for a minute because we actually launched Becoming the CEO back in January, February of 2025. And it came from a few things, but one of the primaries was that we found that people were struggling to actually get the work done. Sometimes it was a confidence thing. I'm not sure what to work on, or I'm not sure what to prioritize, or things like that. And sometimes it was because something personal was going on that was kind of getting in their way, which was was so interesting to see the difference when you started working inside of the coaching program last year in November and you started helping the clients on the personal side, doing the clearings and having conversations with them, and they were easily able to get back to work after their conversations with you.
Mhm.
And that was such a game changer because all the blocks that they had, all the beliefs that they had, all of the, negative thoughts around, for example, doing the DMs, all of that stuff got cleared when they talked to you and then they were able to get back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so from noticing that, we decided that we really wanted to put together a program that wasn't all about coaching, that was more about the actual execution of what they were taught in the coaching, right? And I think the percentage of courses complete and coaching programs complete, at least the course part, is something like less than 5% of people who buy an online course actually finish it.
Yeah.
So that is insane to me. And and so we really wanted to help people with this. We really wanted to help people get shit done and actually execute and feel confident in what they were doing, know what their priorities were, and be able to move everything forward all the time instead of constantly starting over and constantly changing strategies and constantly feeling overwhelmed and stressed and not knowing what to do. It was like, no. And it wasn't about a new coaching program, right? It wasn't about more coaching or more strategies. It's more about taking what you've learned, trusting yourself, and having some sounding from the community, having the community vibe, having all the things that we just talked about in order to actually execute. So that's like in a nutshell what becoming the CEO is and what it's all about. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about some of the benefits and how it works and what some of the calls are. Maybe you can start us with some of that.
Yeah, one of our our signature calls is the co-working call, which is
Yeah.
4 times a week where we have 90 minutes carved out where we do a little grounding meditation process, which is
Yeah.
very quick, like 2 to 3 minutes or something. And then we get to it and we get to our work. And then we check in the chat what we're working on, and then we might have a personal share or whatever, but it's all in the chat, so we don't lose a lot of time in the conversations.
Yeah.
And then we get to it. So at the end, we allow a few minutes to go around the group too and find out how it went, what they accomplished and stuff. And it's like 99% of the time. It's I think only one time I heard someone say, I just couldn't focus. And sometimes there's a lot of reasons for that sometimes, especially when you're dealing with a transitional thing in your business. It's
Yeah.
to be in a meeting where you're supposed to be working.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I've had experiences before where your ego just wants to shut you down. It's
Yeah.
go take a nap, go eat some cookies or chips or
Yeah.
whatever.
But that's the stuff that people are doing a lot when they're on their own.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
very seldom does that happen.
yeah,
Like, I think I remember that one time too,
we've
when
had
they're
a lot
actually
of
on the call.
yeah, as far as the benefits too, we've had calls. Even me, I was in some calls where I was because we work too with the inside the group is there was people who had said, uh, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have done this.
Right.
I literally would have just closed my laptop and walked away. There's
Yeah.
no, or when you're dealing with admin thing and the tech is not working and your computer's
Yeah.
crashing or whatever, like some people have like persevered in these
Yes.
sessions to get that thing done, right? So that's a huge benefit. Like I mentioned before, we have the clearing call, which is once a month, which is more of an energetic, distance Reiki type of experience.
Hmm.
Where, it can be personal content, it can be professional, like business related content, or both. Things come up that I just trust that needs to come up at the time based on what I'm picking up energetically at the time.
Yeah.
Within the context of like a month, right? So
Right.
it's a bit broader, right? It might help with the month with the other call, which is the goal setting, right? Which is every month we do goal setting. That's another call that we do, and also a content creation call. So
Yeah.
some of these are very critical, if you look at your business and go, what are the top five most critical tasks that need to get done on a regular basis on almost like a regular structure?
Yeah.
These are the things that we're constantly doing. I found for me, the clearing call, for example, it's something that since probably 2015, I do every month, an energetic check-in on myself,
Yeah.
journal. So
Yeah.
has come forward all the way this far, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
the structure based on the calls that we've been developing so far.
yeah, so like all of the things that happen inside becoming the CEO kind of match with the things that we talked about today, the community, the accountability, the sounding, the structure. So some of the ones you just talked about are all incorporated into the structure so that people are doing the right things at the right time of the month, like their goal setting and their content planning and all of that stuff. And then recently we added the weekly momentum check-in call. So that's the group call that we do on Mondays. And that's really helping with the accountability and getting people rolling at the beginning of the week. We also are adding in like a networking and masterminding call. We still need a cool name for that, but we're going to do our very first one tomorrow night. So, really excited about that and creating more community there. They also have the opportunity to get in on some one-to-one laser focus calls with either of us, depending on what they need, so that we can give them like that quick snapshot, what they need to do or getting them clear with something or whatever it is. So they have that. And then we also added the 5-day power project week every month. So this is like you're going to become the CEO. You need to be working on your business, not in it all the time. And so we blocked off this once a week or once a month week where people can work on a specific project, whether that's, building out a sales page or creating a new workshop, or whether it's updating their website or working on their new software that they just got, whatever it is. So having that opportunity as well. And then we are also introducing a level 2. So we are in a beta test right now with a whole bunch of amazing people who are wanting a little bit more. And in that program, they're getting a bit more coaching once a week, whether it's strategy with me or whether it's lifestyle design stuff with you, and leveling up in that way. And they're also getting quarterly planning workshops. So everything that's included really reflects those 4 pieces that we just talked about, to make sure that we're creating a cohesive experience for everybody and that they're really getting out what they need from it, which is to get things done, to know what to do, and to feel momentum and confident and be able to move forward every single month and actually grow their business. Because if we can get things done more productively, not only will we grow the business, but we can also work fewer hours,
Mhm.
which is what we're going for, so that everyone can have the lifestyle that they want. They can have the time freedom that they want. They can spend more time with their friends and family and do what they want.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, when I was early in my personal training business, was that one thing I found that was a common denominator with the people I knew that were very successful and very busy with
Yes.
clients is they did not have any problem buckling down and executing on the things that need to get done
Yeah.
business. And I just assumed that that was not rare. I feel in my experience, that's actually quite rare that people can solo mission, just hunker down
Yeah.
all the way. Because the people I know now that are like that operate at a completely different, um, channel of focus than at least what I'm familiar with. And I've been realizing it through more conversation with more networking and meeting more people in business and talking about our challenges. I've been hearing a lot more about, yeah, it's since I've gone online, it's been so much harder to focus. Like,
Hmm.
especially with, family in the house. Like if you're working on the computer and you're working away, well, dad's there. Dad's there. Let's see, where that thing is. Let's go find that thing. Let's go in the garage or whatever. And like, no, I'm supposed to be invisible right now. I am working right now, you know?
Right.
So it's been harder for people, especially if they originally worked inside a physical space in front of people in person and were able to transition their business or at least part of their business online. Um, we didn't realize how hard it is too, even though you're not getting in your car and driving somewhere and have to deal with traffic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
there's other things that come along with being online that could cause as a big distraction. I found that I was always way more productive in my jobs where I was physically working in the space or working with people or
Yeah.
working with my hands because you can't fake that. You can't,
Yeah.
you know,
But this is exactly why we created Becoming the CEO, so that we could give people that container. We could give them the community that they're missing because they're not doing water cooler talk,
yeah,
with
yeah,
their desk mates from the office and all that stuff. So, this is really a passion for us,
mhm,
and just getting excited about seeing people get stuff done, like the satisfaction. And maybe this is the selfish part, but like honestly, the satisfaction that we feel at the end of a call when people say, I got this done, I got this done, I got that done. It is like, for me, it's just as good as one of our clients getting their clients,
yeah,
right? Just hearing them get excited, feeling lighter, feeling like they got something done, feeling accomplished, momentum, all of that stuff. It's really awesome. And we're just so happy to be able to, have this space where people can come and just get shit done.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
is there anything else before we wrap up for today?
Um, as far as the work and productivity space, I would say to anyone that maybe this is something that I needed to hear when I started learning more about myself and even my human design and all these different things is
Mhm.
if you're struggling to get work done, if you're struggling to stay focused, there could be a number of different reasons. And let's just check off or cross out the reason that there's something wrong with you.
Hmm.
Cross that out and
Yeah.
and and there's a whole bunch of other interesting reasons why it's hard to focus in or you're dissatisfied with your work or you feel like you're in a slump or you're stuck or something. It's just I see it as an opportunity. I see it as the universe or your business or whatever it is that you're working with is giving you a sign that there's another level, that you're ready for this next level. And I think for me, my go-to has always been either my journal, where I get sounding from another place, or my people,
Yeah.
right? So I would call up a buddy or I'd just get in a conversation, go for a beer or a coffee or something, and just start to unpack some stuff a little bit and start to explore what else is possible for you, for your business, for your health, whatever it is, because there's nothing wrong with you,
Love that.
right? And I think it's the opportunity you have next to see what else is new and exciting for you in the future.
Love it. So good. Great, great way to wrap us up for today.
All right.
So thank you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here in episode 6. And hopefully you got some great ideas for how to help yourself or how to help, your colleagues with more productivity, leading to more profit. And we can't wait to see you back in episode 7.
All right. See you guys in the next session.